What if the moon turned into a black hole? It sounds like one of those questions you might hear late at night, tossed into the air as a joke or a thought experiment. But it's a question that deserves more than a passing laugh. Because the moon, quiet, dependable, ordinary, is not just scenery in our night sky, it's one of the cornerstones of life on Earth. And imagining what would happen if it collapsed into a black hole forces us to confront how fragile the systems we rely on really are. Let's start with the problem. The moon is roughly 1/4 the size of Earth and about 1/6 of its gravity. It sits about 384,400 kilometers away, orbiting us once every 27.3 days. We take it for granted because it's always there, but its presence is what keeps our planet in balance. The moon's gravity pulls on Earth's oceans, creating tides. It stabilizes Earth's axial tilt, which gives us our seasons. It even slows Earth's rotation very slightly, keeping our days at 24 hours rather than spinning us faster. Now imagine the moon suddenly collapsing into a black hole. A black hole of equal mass would still exert the same gravitational pull, because black holes, despite their strange properties, don't magically gain mass. They simply compress it into a much smaller volume. In fact, a black hole with the moon's mass would be incredibly tiny, less than half a centimeter across. At first glance, you might think nothing changes. After all, the gravitational force remains constant. Earth wouldn't get sucked into the black hole. The oceans would still rise and fall with the tides. The sky would simply appear darker at night, with a black spot where the moon used to be. But here's where the agitation begins. The moon doesn't just pull the tides, it stabilizes Earth's tilt. Without it, the tilt of our planet could vary wildly over time. Something we've seen on planets without large moons, like Mars. Mars, for instance, has a tilt that wobbles chaotically over tens of thousands of years, creating dramatic climate swings. A 1993 study by Jacques Lascar at the Paris Observatory calculated that without the moon, Earth's tilt could swing between 0 and 85 degrees over millions of years. Even smaller shifts would wreak havoc on our climate. Case in point, Mars. Its climate has been shown through ice core and rock data to experience drastic swings, turning ice caps to water and back again, over cycles driven by its chaotic axial tilt. Earth could see similar instability if the moon's stabilizing effect were lost, even if it happened slowly over geological time. And while the immediate gravitational effects might remain, the moon also reflects light onto Earth, about 13% of sunlight that hits it. This light is crucial for many ecosystems. Sea turtles, for example, use the brightness of the moon to navigate when hatching. Studies in Florida have documented significant declines in sea turtle hatchling survival when artificial light sources disrupted their ability to find the ocean, mimicking what would happen if moonlight disappeared. The loss of moonlight would also disrupt nocturnal predators and prey cycles. Research published in Frontiers in Ecology and Evolution in 2020 documented how full moon nights alter hunting patterns of lions and hyenas in Africa, with lions hunting more efficiently under bright moonlight and prey animals hiding more. Take the moonlight away entirely, and nocturnal ecology globally would be permanently altered. And over much longer periods, the moon's role in slowing Earth's spin matters too. The moon has been gradually lengthening Earth's days since it formed. Without it, the slowing would stop. Over geological timescales, days would remain shorter, which affects wind patterns, ocean currents, and even the distribution of heat across the globes. So, while Earth wouldn't spiral into the black hole moon and the oceans wouldn't suddenly rush into space, the world we know would become something very different. Harsher, less predictable, less hospitable to life as it evolved to be. Now that we've seen how deeply this tiny satellite supports us, let's dig into why this matters beyond astronomy. The truth is that most people walk through life like the moon will always be there. We assume that what keeps our lives steady, our health, our relationships, our purpose, is so permanent it doesn't even cross our mind to protect it. But when you really look at the moon, you see it for what it is. Fragile. Not literally fragile in its composition, but fragile because of what it represents. Our moon is the result of a violent collision billions of years ago that could have easily gone another way. Without it, complex life on Earth may never have arisen. And just like that, you realize that stability is rare. And it's temporary. Think of the moon as a metaphor for what quietly holds you together. It might be a loved one, a habit of reflection, a routine that keeps you healthy, or simply the feeling that you're headed in the right direction. You don't notice it when it's working. But if it collapses, if it's replaced by a black hole, the consequences may not show up immediately, but they will come. That's how burnout happens. You ignore your body's signals until the tides inside you become chaotic. That's how relationships break. You forget to care for the person who holds you steady until the light they gave you turns to darkness. That's how meaning disappears. You trade your quiet center for noise and distractions until one day you look up and find an empty sky. So what's the solution? It's not complicated. The answer is to notice. To acknowledge what you've been taking for granted and treat it with care before it collapses. For the Earth, there's nothing we can do about the moon. But for you, there is. Start by identifying what your moon really is. Who or what quietly stabilizes you? Maybe it's a parent you haven't called in months. Maybe it's a partner who feels like they've been left in the dark. Maybe it's your own health, which you've ignored because you're too busy. Or your dreams, pushed aside by endless tasks. Next, take small, deliberate steps to honor those things. For the moon, those steps might have been impossible. For you, they're not. If it's your health, carve out time for sleep, exercise, and nutrition. Not because it's flashy, but because it pulls your tides in balance. If it's a person, tell them what they mean to you, make them feel seen. If it's your sense of purpose, set boundaries so that your time isn't swallowed by everyone else's demands. A 2012 case study from the Mayo Clinic on stress-related burnout showed that physicians who took even 30 minutes a day to reflect on their priorities and reconnect with meaning reported significant improvements in well-being and resilience. A small, simple act of attention was enough to keep their inner balance from collapsing. Or take the 2004 Sumatra tsunami as another example. It wasn't caused by the moon. It was a result of a sudden tectonic shift, but it taught the world how vulnerable our coastal systems are when something in the balance changes abruptly. Recovery took years, but the lesson was clear. Prevention and awareness save lives. Your own balance deserves the same awareness. The moon collapsing into a black hole is unlikely. But what if it happened? You would notice. The sky would change. The world would grow unfamiliar. And you would wish you'd appreciated what you had when it was still shining. You don't have to wait for your own moon to collapse. You can look up tonight and see it, still there, still steady, and let it remind you of the quiet forces in your life. It's easy to get caught up in the fast, the loud, the obvious, but it's the quiet things that keep you from spinning off course. When the Apollo 11 astronauts landed on the moon in 1969, they described the surface as barren. But when they looked back at Earth, they saw a vibrant, living world that the moon helped sustain. That view, that perspective, is what you can carry with you now. What if the moon turned into a black hole? The oceans would still rise, but life would slowly drift out of balance. And you would feel it in ways you didn't expect. What if your own moon turned into a black hole? Would you even notice before it was too late? Now you have the chance to choose. The moon holds our tides, our nights, our seasons, our stories. The moon is quiet, but essential, and so are the quiet forces in your own life. Don't wait for the collapse. Don't wait for the black hole. Look up, notice, protect what steadies you, and never forget what life would feel like without it. Because some changes come slowly, but some arrive all at once. And by then, all you're left with is the question, what if? And you already know the answer.